Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley. I am your host and beat reporter, and I have been your beat reporter covering the Jacksonville Jaguars for On SI every single day since August 2019. And we are continuing to march forward through yet another season together. As always, you can find our 100% free 24/7 boots on the ground content covering the Jacksonville Jaguars when you follow us on social media such as Facebook or Twitter at Jaguars on SI. You can also find us at www.si.com/NFL/Jaguars. All right, folks, welcome to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. As we do weekly, today is our prediction episode. We will give you guys our final take on who we think wins in Week 6 between the Seattle Seahawks and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'll admit, when I first saw this game on the schedule, I didn't look at it like I looked at like the Carolina Panthers game, where I always thought the Panthers were going to be terrible. I assumed that was a fairly easy win for the Jaguars from the jump. The Seahawks, I wouldn't say I had low expectations for them. I felt like they would be like an 8-9, 9-8 level team. And yes, they are just 3-2. Their two losses have both come in brutal fashion. But I think it's a good argument to make that the Seahawks are playing the best football of any team the Jaguars have faced this year. And the Jaguars are in the middle of a pretty tough 4-week stretch. You played the San Francisco 49ers, a good team. Albeit they were banged up, but still a good team. They had their starting quarterback, or the starting quarterback at the time. We'll see. Don't really think Brock Purdy gives you that much different than Mac Jones outside of his out-of-structure plays, but it's a different topic for a different day entirely. Played the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football. The Chiefs, I know, are 2-3, but I believe all their losses have been by one score. They've been in some really competitive games, and Patrick Mahomes, I think, is playing as well as he has in years. You have the Seahawks this week, and then you have the Los Angeles Rams, and arguably the best roster the Jaguars have faced, next week in London, over the pond. So, when I look at the Seahawks, like I said, it wasn't a team that I was expecting to be one of the more difficult teams on the Jaguars roster. But the Seahawks have done some things early on in the season that have converted me. I'm a believer in that team. I think they have a chance to be the best team in a tough three-way race in the NFC West. All three of those teams, the Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers, are playing pretty good right now. The Cardinals are playing terrible. And Jonathan Gannon is crashing out on the sidelines. So we're not factoring them in. But I think the rest of the NFC West is pretty dang good. To me, a couple different things about the Seahawks. One, just start with their defense. They have a lot of guys banged up in the secondary. I know. They're going to be without their best corner. They're going to be without probably Tariq Woolen. Going to be without probably Julian Love. I mean, it's at the point where Shaq Griffin might play. And Shaq Griffin, Jacksonville remembers him more for the season of dropped interceptions and then just getting torched against the Colts and never playing for the franchise again after that. I think, obviously, their pass defense, the injuries have led to the most issues. They're very sound schematically. They do run a smart system. But when you're down several of your top starters, attrition sets in. And I think if there's going to be anywhere for the Jaguars to attack, that has to be where it is. This has to be the week that the passing game matures. And I felt like it took a big step against the Chiefs. They hit a couple downfield throws. They were fairly efficient in the passing game. But this is a week where they don't win without the passing game taking another step. And it will be tough because they're going to be without Brendan Strange. Braden Strange is maybe the best two-way tight end in the NFL right now. Just in terms of what he does as a blocker and a pass catcher. George Kittle, I'd say not the blocker he used to be necessarily, but he's probably the best tight end in football. The Jaguars being without Braden Strange is a massive factor in this. He's by far their most trustworthy pass catcher. He hasn't ran into any of the drops issues that every other pass catcher on the team has experienced at one point or another this season. But I still think this is the week that, you let Travis Hunter get some volume. You get Brian Thomas Jr. involved early. You put this game on your quarterback. Because I believe if they try to put this game on their running game and the offensive line with a rookie center against maybe the best defensive front that they'll play this year, I'm not sure that'll work out for the Jaguars. I think that they will have some trouble running the ball this weekend. Similar to week 3 against the Houston Texans. It's a really talented front. It's a front that will be prepared, first and foremost, to stop the run. Because everybody knows that's what the Jaguars' bread and butter is right now. They're a running team. They lean heavy on play action, especially when they take shots down the field. They have yet to want to put a game squarely on their quarterback to go in. And I think on Sunday they're going to have to do that. The Seahawks front 7 compared to their back 7, completely different units. The Seahawks, I think, will at the least limit the Jaguars and non-scrambling plays. I'm going to say to 3.5 yards per carry. I think it will be tough sledding for the running game. Now, it doesn't mean you abandon it. I think you have to at least try to get it going. But I'm expecting if the Jaguars want to win this game, they will have to do it on the arm of Trevor Lawrence. And then you look at the offensive and defensive matchup. The Jaguars were a really sound tackling team for the first month of the season. Ran into a lot of missed tackle issues against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm interested to see if that continues. I mean, Liam Cohen said after the game on Monday night that he thought guys were maybe just too juiced, too excited. And that caused them to play a little bit out of control. But against Kenneth Walker, you can't do that. Walker's one of the most unique running backs in the entire NFL. He can hurt a defense on any given snap. He can bust a big play out, and he will break a ton of tackles. The passing game is what I'm curious about. I mean, Sam Darnold is just hitting consistently. Tight window throw after tight window throw. They're not getting a ton of yards after catch, but they're hitting all areas of the field. Sam Darnold's excelling throwing downfield. And, I mean, JSN has been arguably a top 5 receiver in football this season. That's a tough matchup for Jordan Lewis, for Travis Hunter, for Buster Brown, for Greg Newsome, depending on how much he plays. And yes, the Jaguars will have Trayvon Walker back. But this is a Seahawks offense that right now it's rolling. Sam Darnold's playing the best football of his career. Much better, I think, than he ever played in Minnesota. And I know he played well in Minnesota, but the whole time he was in Minnesota, I still had kind of an eyebrow arch. Like, I know what you are. And Seattle, he's kind of shut me up. And I've been a Sam Darnold isn't very good guy for a long time, since he was at USC. This is the best I think Sam Darnold's ever looked. He's playing like a top 10 quarterback right now. And the degree of difficulty of the throws he's hitting is out of this world. So I think it's a tough matchup for the Jaguars on both sides of the ball. But like I've said before, I'm not picking against them again until they lose. So I'm going with the Jaguars in yet another tight one. Yet another anxiety-inducing end-of-game scenario. But I got the Jaguars winning this one, 27-24. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley. Be back next time.